Welcome back, everyone. We are two dudes talking 80s. I'm John. That's my partner in crime, Lewis.
Hello.
And we just did this entire episode, and my dumbass forgot to press record. So we're doing it again. That's why Lewis is laughing so hard. And we're going to try and recreate this thing that we just did. So, Lou, why don't you go ahead and, to the best of your ability, start us off.
So I think in the last attempt, I actually passed it off to you because I didn't want us to step on each other. I didn't want to step on you with my selection. So let's try and recreate the magic, John. You go ahead.
Recreate the magic. Let's do this. All right. There were a lot of motions in this. I don't know if we're going to be able to recreate it, but we'll give it a try. So my first choice is Bobby Brown's "Every Little Step." Like I talked about, I don't think people remember how big Bobby Brown was in the late '80s. Huge star. His "Don't Be Cruel" album was fantastic. Love this song. Every time I hear it, I want to dance. I want to pull out some of his moves. Of course, I can't do any of that, but I love Bobby Brown, and that album is fantastic. "Don't Be Cruel," and "Every Little Step," one of my all-time favorite dance songs.
Very cool. Yeah, yeah. Bobby Brown is definitely one of those folks that doesn't have the rightful place in '80s history that he should. He just, for whatever reason, doesn't stand out, but he should. He was also the guy that did "My Prerogative," right?
My Prerogative, and like I said, "Don't Be Cruel," and then the other song from that album, which is probably my favorite, not a dance song, but "Rock with Ya." And I mean, he was so big. He was the person that did Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack. So, you know, uh, very big. I think the fact that he married Whitney kind of overshadowed his whole career. And he didn't really have that second album, third album. He kind of, died off. But man, that "Don't Be Cruel" is fantastic. And of course, you know, love every little step. I wish I could do the moves in that video. A little Running Man action there. Yeah, that's all I got. So I'm not standing up to do it unless you want to demonstrate, Lou.
Oh, no, no, no. I think I'll hurt myself with the Running Man. That's way too advanced for me.
All right.
All right. Well, my pick will start off with a song called "Opportunities" by the Pet Shop Boys. I have very fond memories of dancing to that song at a small club, and I believe it was in Sunnyvale, called Mothers, where you had to be over 16 and under 21 to dance there. And actually, I got kicked out once for being over 21. But for whatever reason, that song just really sticks in my head, and I associate it with that club. Dancing to it and really having a great time. I still love that song today.
What do you mean over 16? So 17?
Yeah, well, you had to be 16 or over, and you had to be
Okay,
under 21.
gotcha. And it's funny because you got kicked out because you were too old.
Yes.
What'd you try and do? Go in without an ID and go, yeah, I'm 20.
No, I mean, the guy, I guess, looked at me and he's all like, "Let me see your ID." And I showed it to him, and my birthday had been like maybe a couple of months back. So like, "You can't come in. You're 21. You can't come in."
Vulture. All
Oh
right.
well.
I,
Water
I
under the
never went.
bridge.
I never went to that club, so yeah, it always seemed kind of weird to me. Um, I wonder how they made their money because most of those dance clubs made their money on alcohol sales, so it would have been kind of strange.
Yeah, they charged at the door and they sold, sodas and stuff, but that was it.
Was it in business for a long time? Do you remember?
Um, at least between the times I was 16 and 21, it was in business.
All right, well, you got that. So you even went there when you were 16?
I went there when I was pretty young. I'm probably not 16, but maybe 17 or 18.
Okay,
17, yeah, definitely 17. Before I was 18, I went there.
gotcha. Well, I'm gonna go on to my next pick. It was appropriate because a lot of times when this song was playing, it's what I was doing, and that's "Dancing with Myself" by Billy Idol.
Good
I
one.
was shocked to hear that he originally recorded it with his punk band Generation X, and I heard that he took that song and put it on his first solo album. So
Huh.
I don't know if he re-recorded it for his solo album with a different band or what, but I always loved that song. Made me feel less, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Less embarrassed to be dancing with myself. It's like, hey, Billy says it's okay. It's okay. And I'm doing it. Usually with a lot of liquid courage. You know, I'd be up at the bar saying iconic, 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 and then I'd be out there and I'm dancing with myself.
Yeah, I didn't know until very recently that that Generation X had performed that episode before, or that episode.
The unrecorded episode,
The unrecorded episode.
the
That
lost two dudes talking 80s episode. All right, well, hey, dropping some knowledge on you, brother. It's all good.
yeah, I didn't know that until our
Like 10 minutes ago.
our dress rehearsal. Yeah, exactly. But definitely, I'd like to check it out to see if it's out there. Be very interested in hearing what the difference is, if there's any.
Yeah. By the way, I got to point this out. It was really smart of us to do an episode about our favorite dance songs and then be rocking the shirts that we're rocking. Well, The Clash actually, Should I Stay or Should I Go was kind of a dance song. Train in Vain, I remember people dancing to. I remember a
Rock the
lot of
Casbah.
people doing the dancing to Iron Maiden. So, you know, I don't think Run to the Hills or Hallowed Be Thy Name had a lot of people out there boogieing.
I don't know, a little bit of headbanging and maybe moshing. That's dancing. That qualifies.
All right. What you
All
got,
right.
Lou?
Next one that I've got is going to be a song called Respect. And there was a different version of this song called Respect that came out in the 80s. It's a completely different song, as a matter of fact, by a band called Erasure. And again, it's one of those songs that I just go nuts for. It's probably one of my, if not the favorite Erasure song that they do. And it's just that little keyboard thing and that dun, 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 love it.
Very cool. What was the other one? I'm drawing a blank on the other song that I really liked.
Chains of Love.
Chains of Love. Yeah, that would have been my pick if I did Erasure, but for whatever reason, I didn't include those that genre of bands. I don't know why, or those artists. But great choice. Like I said, I would have gone with Chains of Love, but Respect is definitely up there as well. So it would get me on the dance floor. I hear where you're going with that. Moving forward, I'm gonna go with one of my all-time favorites. I have an unhealthy obsession with this lady, and it's Taylor Dane from her self-titled album, "Tell It to My Heart." Of course, "Tell It to My Heart." Always loved that song. I remember seeing her, back in the day. I saw her. God, it was like some. It was in the East Bay. It was like a horse race track. I don't remember the name of it. Kind of like around Oakland. And I saw her perform there for free. I saw her perform at Marriott's Great America back in the day. I've seen her perform recently. One of the times I actually got to meet her. It was the first time I went and saw a freestyle fest. So, this is LA. Traffic is huge. I drove down to an Indian casino and she was performing there with a bunch of other artists. Got there super early, started gambling, won enough money to pay for my buffet dinner, won enough money to pay back for the ticket. And so after she was done performing, they said, hey, if you want to meet Taylor Dane, she'll be signing autographs and things at the merchandise booth. So I went over, bought her DVD and had her sign it for me and talk to her for a bit. Really cool lady. Love her to death. And yeah, Tell It to My Heart. Love that song. Love Taylor Dane.
Taylor Dane's a great pick, man. She had a nice string of hits as well in the 80s. And yeah, I never had the chance to meet her, but I enjoyed her music as well. I've got, I don't know if that's her first or second CD, but I've got the one that's got a lot of the hits.
Yeah, and probably if you recall, a few years back, for my birthday, we went to see an 80s themed show based upon, the Brat Pack. It was called the Brat Pack Live, and we found this little out of the wall karaoke place within the club. We didn't know it was private, so we went in there and started singing our hearts out. And after a lot of shots or drinks, so my buddy Darren did Tell It to My Heart for karaoke, and I tried to hit those notes. I think I've been permanently damaged ever since. So. That's what
That
I
was the
do.
fun night.
That's what I do for Taylor.
The next one I'm going to go with is one that would tend to clear out the dance floors anytime that it came on, at least in some clubs. And because it wasn't really a dance song, it was AC/DC's "You Shook Me All Night Long." And I love dancing to rock, the metal, and most of the ladies did not. And I remember whenever that song would come on, me frantically going to them and going, "Oh, dance with me, please." And no, 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 I don't want to dance to this song. Okay, great. Next one, dance with me. No, no, I don't want to dance to this song. Which always bummed me out because by the time that I finally found somebody to dance or didn't find a dance, the song was over. So I started subscribing to what you had called out earlier, the dancing with myself methodology, just, a few shots of liquid courage and off you go. And yeah, it took a lot of the stress off of the whole experience and made it much more pleasurable. So that's what I started doing.
There were several times where I would be out there dancing by myself or with myself, and a young lady would be kind enough to come over and join me. And I'll never forget one time where that actually happened, and this girl started, kind of rubbing up on me and everything else. And my best friend, who was very hammered, decides to run over and jump into my arms while I'm in the middle of dancing with this girl. And she just kind of looked at me like, yeah, and walked away, and I didn't see her the rest of the night. So thank you for that, Lewis.
I'm your wet blanket, baby.
Yeah. I was thinking of another word that ends with blocker, but okay. You can be wet blanket. That's
I'm
more
sorry, John.
family friendly.
Oh man. Let's see.
Wait, did you just do AC/DC?
I just dated AC/DC.
All
It's all
right.
you know.
Cool. So this next one is not a dance song either. Well, it's for slow dancing. Wouldn't really consider it a dance song, and that's Journey's Open Arms. This came out in 1981. You and I were in middle school. We went, go Burrell. What were we, the Beacons?
Yeah, the Burrell Beacon. Yeah. No, the Burrell. No,
No,
Bobcats. The Beacon was our newspaper.
Bobcats. Yeah, Bobcats. I was like, well, so we were the Burrell Bobcats, and this song was a staple of our, middle school dances. And I went to a lot of these dances and asked a lot of girls to dance this song, and got turned down a lot of times. And it's kind of hard to slow dance with yourself. Maybe I could have done that. I don't know. But and yeah, I was in middle school. There was no liquid courage to be had. So I always enjoyed that song. Beautiful ballad, and it's really special to me because many years later, when my wife and I went to her high school reunion, my wife absolutely looked stunning for her reunion, just absolutely beautiful. And during the reunion, they were dancing, and she asked the DJ to play Open Arms. I had told my wife about that story about asking girls to dance, being turned down, and yes, she still married me afterwards. Question her sanity, but thankful every day that she did. And she had them play that song and basically said, well, you're not going to get turned down to dance for it today. And so we danced to Open Arms, and it's very special to me because of that memory. My wife, again, absolutely stunning. And I know that was special for her too, because her family was the only Asian family where she went to high school. And so she endured a lot of racism, a lot of negativity, stuff that you and I really don't understand because we went to such a progressive area, with such a melting pot in the Bay Area. And I know it was very special for her as well to kind of go back and, like look and be like, hey, look I survived those years and I'm thriving. And so it was a very special one. And, it's one of those things I think back to, getting turned down by a girl in middle school may not seem like the end of the world, but probably back then for us it was.
Oh, hell yeah.
And, it's just one of those things that no matter what you're going through, times change, things improve. You fight through, and then you look back with the hindsight of 2020 and go, wow, those moments meant nothing, and look where I'm at today, and things got so much better. So, that's my positive spin on it. Open Arms, Journey.
Digging deep into the emotional well for that one, John.
You know.
That's freaking awesome, man. Yeah,
And those that missed the first episode that wasn't recorded, Lewis was actually crying during this. Okay, that's my story. I'm sticking to
I'm crying now, man.
it. Who's crying now?
But
Keep in with the Journey theme while wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. That's what we do here.
oh man.
All right, you got one left, brother. You better make it good.
All right. The last one that I've got is one that I was pretty convinced was going to be on your list, but of course, now that we had done a dry run of the episode, I know that it wasn't on your list, and I was actually quite shocked. Um, it's oh my goodness.
You just told me
New
10 minutes ago. You
I
forgot
know,
already.
man. I know. It's the plague of being 54. Bizarre Love Triangle by New Order. And again, that's one of those songs that as soon as I recognize that, I start really just going nuts that it's gonna play and that I'm gonna get the dance to it. I remember not really being into it when it was popular in the 80s, but once we sort of got into the retro theme of the 80s, later on in the 90s and 2000s, uh, and we actually heard it. I think the first time I heard it and I really appreciated the song was when we were at that club Cheers in Sunnyvale, and yeah, ever since that's been one of my staple dance songs.
That's another one that I really love too. Great song. Surprised it wasn't on my list. But yeah, that one comes on, and yeah, I'll dance to it every single time. And I remember hearing it, and you know, like you said, we went to. I think it was in the '90s. We went. I remember hearing it and not knowing who it was, but enjoying it. And then I think when we went to the Seventh Note in San Francisco, the guy used to play that, and I'd be going to my coworkers, you know, like Debbie and Monica and Prasad. I'd be like, "Hey, it's like, you know," and trying to sing it and get them to say what it was. And somehow, after I butchered the hell out of it, they were able to let me know it was Bizarre Love Triangle. So forever grateful. And then I went to Warehouse Records and bought their greatest hits.
Same, still have them. Not in the
Yeah.
cellophane.
Non cellophane. Huh?
Not in the cellophane.
Wow, look at that. We're improving. I got one last one. Um, this is, you know, another one where anytime I hear it, I'll want to dance. You don't hear it that often though, and it's kind of an unfortunate thing. And that's a Point of No Return by Expose. Um, Again, similar to you, I really didn't care for Expose when they were in their prime. You know, back then I was too busy going to Ruthie's Inn and all those other clubs, listening to Megadeth and Exodus and bands of that ilk, that I didn't have time for, you know, three women singing dance songs. But really grew to love their music later on. Point of No Return is one of my favorites. I've seen them perform several times, and yeah, it always gets me going. Dun, 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 dun. You know, so I'll always stand up when they play it and kind of like a little shimmy in my seat area when they're playing. And I wish the dance clubs would throw that stuff out more often. They just don't ever seem to play it, so it's unfortunate.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll hear it on the radio, but yeah, and of course it's been a long time since I've been clubbing. But you're right, that's not one that I hear played very often there. And I know we had this conversation before, but I could have sworn that one night when we were at Polyesters, that one of the ladies from Expos was there, and the dance floor was like really crowded. And for those that weren't familiar with Polyesters in San Francisco, they had two floors. They had one on top that was 70s, and then downstairs was 80s. That particular night they had the 80s one closed off, and they were just doing a combination of everything up on top. And she was like in this packed packed dance floor. I never saw her, heard her singing, and I wasn't super impressed. Again, it could have been somebody else, but for some reason Expose seems to ring a bell with who it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you're wrong, but I don't remember that at all. So who knows? All I know is I saw them perform just a few weeks ago, and they still sounded really good.
So
You know, unlike John Bon Jovi. But you know, hey, things happen with age, John Bon Jovi. Um, but it's still good. I'm gonna throw a bonus one out there. All
do
right,
it. You do you, baby.
I'm gonna do me. And because there were so many I wanted to cover, but you know, this should be the national anthem of dancing. And I'm going to say Footloose by Kenny Loggins from the movie of the same name. You know, we got Ren McCormick, you know, teaching people how to dance. And the town has to dance. Dance your ass off, right? Um, I even, you know, I actually rented this movie back in the 80s after it came out. I didn't see it in the theaters originally, but when it went to VHS, I remember renting it. I think it was like a New Year's Eve, and I did not want to go out, and I just decided to stay home. And I sat there with my mom, and I went and rented a couple movies, and we watched Footloose. I figured she might like it. I wasn't really that interested in it, but you know, I thought she would enjoy it, and I really came to love it from even the beginning of the movie when they started playing the song, and you see the feet doing different dance moves. So it always had me. You know, that was the first time I remember everything I wanted to actually go out and dance. You know, and it's something other than a slow song. So really enjoyed the movie, really loved the song, and also has a very special memory for me because, as you remember, because you were there in the early 2000s, we went to a club, but it actually was a kind of like a was a retro 80s prom. And so you kind of relived your prom experience in the 80s, or for those that never had a prom experience, you had your first 80s prom experience. And they had actors in there. For those that have seen the photo, I think we've used it in some of the episodes where Lewis is being held up by a gentleman that looks to be a high school gym teacher. That photo was taken that night. Was just a blast of a night. You know, had different actors portraying different characters. You know, kind of high school, you know, kids. And at the very end of the night, they all got on stage and they did a synchronized dance to Footloose. And so it's one of those songs where, for me, you know, to really connect, I have to have, you know, some sort of memory of that song or experience with that song. And that was one of my all-time favorite nights. And I just remember that was like the perfect ending to such a fun night. We had a blast. And so, yeah, Footloose would be my special check mark, I guess, so to speak.
Very appropriate selection. And yeah, that night, that picture that you're talking about where it's you, me, and the gym teacher, that's one of my favorite all-time pictures. And yeah, it may be a little morbid, as you mentioned before, but that one's definitely going on the inside of my coffin lid. That's a super precious picture to me.
Yeah.
Blast of an evening. I remember the guitar player guy, the big hair. He had this big inflated plastic guitar and sitting there and air guitaring with us. And the Asian exchange student coming up to our table and being obnoxious. It was a lot of fun. That was a super fun evening.
I go online every now and then and just see if anyone's doing anything like that. They used to have, before COVID, every year they do an 80s prom out here, and you know, they'd usually have a band perform. So you'd get there and they'd be playing music and music videos, and at the end of the night, a band would perform, and it was always fun. They called it the 80s prom, but it was a big venue and they didn't have any actors recreating it. You didn't really feel like you were at a prom. It just seemed like an 80s dance club. It was really cool. It was really fun, but I haven't seen anything that would kind of recreate that night or an experience similar. So I keep looking, I keep hoping. So maybe someday we'll get that back. But yeah, that was just such a blast of a night. And I'd be remiss if I didn't go ahead and include that. So there you go.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Should we take it out with the dance off?
Sure, you go first.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, guys, as always, we appreciate you watching. We wish we had recorded the first one, but hey, we got some practice in. So let us know what songs get your toes tapping, get you on the dance floor, get you dancing with yourself. Love to hear them. And as always, Lewis, take us out, brother.
Peace out.
Thank you, guys.